What we've done over the past 60 years or so is create a welfare state.
What do you think the biggest threat to America is?
What do you do when you wake up every day? Do you
take a poop?
Well, I don't want to do the cold showers. I don't want to work out. I don't want to eat healthy.
The weight never gets lighter. You get stronger. That's how it works.
For the better of society, I don't think loans should be for profit.
That's expensive.
I don't want to this intro up because you'll probably kill me.
No. I hurt somebody's feelings once, but never killed.
My friend Dan Holloway's here. You are the host of Drinking Bros and the Citizen Podcast.
Correct.
Did you know that he was the VP marketing of Black Rifle Coffee Company, veteran of the 82nd Airborne?
It's all correct.
And the craziest one, I didn't even know that there was a degree for this. Masters in Homeland Security?
Yeah. Like
from Penn State?
International border security is my specialty.
How do you stop a plane hijacking?
You shoot people in the face.
How do we stop the migrant
How do I get a gun? How do I get a gun on the plane? Like if I see a hijacking, in my shower, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna do this.
There's weapons everywhere, right? You know, you don't need a gun for that because they're not gonna have one probably. The thing about melee weapons, especially blades, is nobody wins that fight. You just lose less because you're getting cut.
Everybody's getting cut. Yeah.
Right. But they do have the extra seatbelt extenders for fat, you know, people that can't control their habits and shit. So just grab one of those, wrap it around that dude's neck, and choke him until he dies.
Just what they deserve because they can't control their habits.
Well, not the fat person. I'm talking about the terrorist. Yeah. But, you know, I guess.
In some regard, the fat person's also a terrorist.
Oh, yeah. They're fucking up healthcare, I guess.
And America?
Yeah.
Just everything.
Jesus.
But this is a strong start.
Strong start.
I feel like I'm talking to Mount Rushmore.
What do you mean?
You're so America. I just want to know more about America.
Yeah. I mean,
also, I'm like I said this off camera, but I can't. I can't look at you because I'm so jealous of your hat.
Oh yeah, it is pretty nice.
Because it's such a brilliant play on words, and I'm annoyed we didn't make it.
Well, you know, it's from my community. It's like
you're in the handicap.
What's
community?
that dick's name? Toby Keith.
Yeah.
The guy that, you know, war profiteers on people and never actually served himself. That guy.
Yep.
Remember him?
It's a country singer, right?
Yeah. He writes songs about 9/11 and shit. That's primarily what he does now.
Even though he wasn't.
The whole album is just about 9/11.
I don't remember. I never listened to that shit. I don't listen to country music. I'm just making fun of him. But yeah, it's These Colors Don't Run. I hate those like platitude moto phases. Like, yeah, shut the fuck up, dude. That's stupid. So we made fun of it and added in, which I think is appropriate.
It is. No one can get mad. I would assume that every handicapped person would embrace that.
Yeah, so there's a lot, obviously in the veteran community, there's quite a few people missing limbs and fucked up, right? So, yeah, we haven't heard a single negative thing. We've heard like, hey, I love that. Please send it to me.
How many people with legs complain about that? I guarantee you people who aren't handicapped are more offended on behalf of...
Well, we don't listen.
Well, yeah, I mean,
right. But if I did, it would be white women between 35 and 55, I would imagine, probably with short haircuts.
As of recent times?
Well, yeah.
After COVID.
Yeah, well, I don't think it started at COVID. Karen was a thing before that, right?
What do you think the biggest threat to America is?
Complacency amongst people who are good people. The majority of people are good people, right?
I'm complacent.
Sure, yeah. So stop.
What does that mean? Stop.
Well, I mean, here's
some push-ups he's saying.
No. Complacent towards the what? Benefiting the fabric of this country?
Towards yourself, right? So, I mean, there's plenty of quotes and platitudes about this over the years, like ask not what you can do for, or what your country can do for you, all that stuff.
That sounds like These Colors Don't Run, though.
Oh, JFK said it, though, and he had his dick in Marilyn Monroe, so it's a little bit top tier, if you ask me.
That guy is a genius, though.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
You really fucking...
He hit you with the queen.
I was
Be
like,
careful.
whoa.
Here's the thing, and you can see my shirt. This is defund politicians. Politicians are the worst people in the world, right? The thing about nature abhors a vacuum, so there's going to be power centers no matter where you go. And the sad reality is that people who desire power very rarely deserve it, and people who deserve it very rarely desire it, right? Which means the I want to be left alone crowd that, you know, that doesn't stand. With every right you have, people are like very quick to thank soldiers and shit for protecting the country. It's like, yeah, that's good, but we've provided you some freedom to some degree, but what are you doing with it? And what are you doing to protect it, right? Just exercising freedom, saying no to tyranny collectively, right? Remember the governance disinformation board that Homeland Security tried to stand up? It was some woman who was a fucking disinformation expert. And they tried to stand up an organization inside of Homeland Security that would police social media, basically, right?
Right.
Like that was going to be a real thing. And everybody was like, fuck no, that's not going to be a real thing. And it went away. She got fired. Right. That is the power of the collective, right? The mass of people. So when I say complacency at the lower level is a problem, what I mean is, this is the premise of my show, Citizen. You can bitch and moan about your rights and the state of the country and sit around and wait for somebody else to secure those rights for you, and you will be a subject under their rule. Or you can secure them yourself by performing the responsibilities required of you, and that's what makes you a citizen. That's the literal definition of it, right? So, you know, the best way to do it is if you're somebody that believes in, even out to the fringe of anarcho-capitalists, but if you're just a libertarian or a conservative or a liberal that doesn't want the government in your life or whatever it is, solve problems locally before the government can get there. Because if they show up and there's no hands out, they don't have any fucking power.
Can you simplify that a little bit more?
I mean, but
yeah, if people are struggling in your neighborhood, help them before the government comes and puts them on welfare for 40 fucking years.
There you go.
Do you feel that though most people
are
are just so buried in their own bullshit that you're like, I'm too, you know, I would say we're probably luckier than most people where we can look outside of our lives and assess the world versus I think a lot of people are like, yo, I have 3 jobs. I don't care about my community. I'm literally trying to keep my family alive.
Yeah, but that's the way losers think. Frankly.
Well, here's the thing. I hate TSA. Like, how am I going to revolt against that system? Because we all know it's full of shit, right? Well, were we all supposed to stand at security and bum rush the gates?
Maybe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How am I supposed to make a difference against systems that are so much bigger than me? Like I can go on, I'll make a bigger impact telling my fans to troll TSA's Instagram page than I would actually physically doing anything.
Right. But that's what he's saying is the problem. He's saying that
the system's too big.
Yeah, but he's saying that the people that are not doing anything are the ones asking those kind of questions, saying that it's not going to matter. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what his point is that we're all in America while we're getting protected on the outside of America, saying what's the point? And we're not putting any action behind it. And then we're all getting separated and confused, right?
Dude, I want to help make this country better. Sure. I just don't know how. All I know how to do is is what I do.
The only way to make this country better is to sacrifice yourself for the time being or whatever you're doing to focus on, like he's saying, putting action forward. But most people don't want to do that because it's a selfish thing because we're in America, we're very selfish.
We've got to rebuild community. You actually do a lot in this regard. And it's why we started Drinking Bros in the first place. It's not really about drinking. It's a place for people who've kind of lost their tribe to come back, and it's a family dinner table, or it's the fucking team room, as we would call it, or whatever. And that's step 1. Step 2 is to articulate like a list of principles that you really care about, that you think define what it means rather to be a good person, good citizen, all this shit, and then start living by that, right? The stronger communities are, the harder it is to infiltrate them. You know what I mean? That's why we built civilization in the first place. Now, the good news is we are biologically programmed to do this in so many ways. As a man, biologically programmed to provide and protect for the people that matter to us, and also to develop a personality so we can attract better partners, better business partners, better friends, whatever the fuck else. Right. We build walls literally around things to create civilization. And now it is time to build walls more metaphorically around our souls, right? Not like in a religious sense, but like literally around whatever it is, whatever I is, right? The self, to build walls around this, build walls bigger around our family than our community, and start at that lowest possible level, right? Because that's like decentralization of power is what really matters. And you see it. What's that quote? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You know what I mean? People are struggling and the government or some NGO shows up and they're like, hey, we're here to help. It's like, no, you're here to profiteer.
Right.
You're here
no one's here to actually
manipulation.
Help. Yeah. But you are. Like, I can't stop homelessness. I can't stop hunger. I can stop that motherfucker's hunger right now. You see somebody that's
proximity
struggling.
He's talking about.
But like, how do I stop that guy's hunger? I give him a sandwich.
Feed him.
Yeah, but that's just now I've created a fucking stray cat that I got to feed every day.
Teach a man to fish, right?
Right.
So we have to pull these people back out of poverty. You know, give them the opportunity for upward mobility. What we've done over the past 60 years or so is create a welfare state where people have no incentive whatsoever.
Correct.
Right. And not just no incentive. They need help sometimes, right? People need help sometimes. And when you give them just enough help to keep their mouth and nose above water, but the rest of their body submerged, they will never rise above that.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And consider how evil that is.
It's like an addiction, right? It's just giving just enough of it to keep you coming back.
But it's true in every facet of life. The pharmaceutical industry, our food.
Yeah, everything's Stockholm syndrome, right? Everyone is trapped with there's no more cures. You're not doing
social media, like all social media algorithms are built to keep you on that platform as long as possible. That's what they're built for.
Addiction.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. Everything do you think the problem with this country then is that everything needs to make a profit?
Yeah, because it's capitalism.
Because if we get rid of like certain things that don't need to make a profit, we'd have a better society. Like I'm against predatory student loans. I understand taking out a loan and paying it back, but for the better of society, I don't think loans should be for profit.
Sure. Well, my audience would say, "Fuck you." Pay your loans, right?
No, pay the loan, but not what's the point of having a profit on the loan?
Well, I mean, to incentivize people to loan the money in the first place.
But
right?
it should, but that becomes, once again, if everything is
predatory, sure,
there should be some things should just be like the park.
Yeah.
I don't need to,
Here's what I tell them when they say that all the time. Just because you don't like someone's solution to a problem doesn't mean the problem doesn't exist, right? And think about the second, third order effects and how it's affecting all of us, right? And this is the problem with thinking just about yourself. There's an old story about this called narcissist, by the way. The word narcissistic comes from this story about a guy who stared at himself in the mirror too long and became flowers, right? He turned into flowers and it fucked him up. So when the simple fact about life is it's not fucking about you. It's not about you. We are biologically programmed to help other people. And like Gandhi said, if you want to find yourself, lose yourself in the service of others. You will never feel more fulfilled than when you do something for somebody else, particularly when they can't do anything back for you. That's especially as a man. That's what really makes you feel great as a person, right? You have to dig down into these things and kind of insulate society from it, right? So what I would say to somebody that's bitching about student loans, here's some very practical examples of a second order effect of this, what is a student loan crisis. People who are 25 to 35 used to buy starter homes, right? For somewhere between, let's adjust it for inflation, 150 to 250K, right? They would buy a starter home. That is not a thing anymore, right? Yeah. So now starter homes are bought by people in California. Like the average starter home in the Bay Area right now is $1.2 million. That's a 2,200 square foot, 2-bedroom place, which is nothing wrong with that, right? But for 1.2 mil, are you fucking crazy? So what happens when you remove the lower level financial constituent from any kind of business? Prices rise for everybody, right? Interest rates go up and there's runs on the market and shit like that. And then the only people who are left to buy those properties are BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and these motherfuckers who are just predators, right? So we see like, oh, I got out of that. I'm not in poverty anymore, so I don't need to worry about that. You always have to worry about that. Like any poverty that exists in your country is going to drag everything down.
Right. We're only as fast as our slowest runner, right?
Also, we live in a society where it's very easy to become, like you said, the goal is to be selfless, right?
Yeah, but it's
right. But we live in a society where everything is becoming selfish, meaning that we stare at the phone for too long at ourselves. Well, we take pictures. Everyone's trying to make themselves look good.
It's interesting because there is a massive amount of vanity in it, but all of the worst people I know, the biggest like dirt bags I know, are the best people I know. Like you, for example. Most people have no idea how much charitable shit you do. But if I introduce you to somebody's grandma, they'd be like, "Get this motherfucker out of here now!" Right?
I'm just trying to buy my way into heaven.
Good luck.
But like, I'll be lying to you if the charitable stuff doesn't feel good, right? It's like,
of course it does. You're biologically programmed to do that shit.
Like that's the crazy part, because I totally understand people's logic of not forgiving student loans. I can see that side, because a lot of our society is built this way, is I had to earn this, so you got to go through the same shit, right? Whether it's a job, right? You're like, oh, like if you want to be a stand-up comic, no one respects you if you blow up overnight. You have to earn your keep. Every business has that, right? If you're an athlete, you got to kind of like prove yourself. So a lot of people are like, well, I had to pay predatory loans, so I don't want to. Why should you get the leg up now?
I think the problem is the logistics of it all, that the irresponsibility and predator nature has now been passed on to people who did the right thing instead of the people who created the problem in the first place. If by cancel student loans we mean the banks just don't pay them, All right, cool. But if it's federal tax dollars that are going to that shit, that's a problem, man. You can't do that. It's just as bad as TARP. It's as bad as the auto bailouts and all this stuff. It can't happen because it creates massive inflation. The federal government isn't going to find money somewhere to pay for this shit. They're going to print new money, right? You know that 80% of all of the circulatory dollars, all the money that exists, all the U.S. dollars that exist, 80% of them have been printed in the last 2 years, right? And only 4% is in actual hard money. The rest is just digital floating around somewhere.
Right, of course.
4%.
You know what
fuck?
You know what always freaks me out and sometimes confuses me? When I go to a Russian bathhouse, you know, like we do contrast therapy. Yeah, so sometimes I run into some old school like guys that used to be part of like the SSSR and like communism and all that. And you know, they'll sit there and they'll be, especially in these times, they'll be like, you know, man, he's like, before the Soviet Union broke up, he's like, honestly, we had it good. He's like, even though we had to stand in line for bread, even though we had to go, you know, and kind of like it felt like we couldn't have everything, but we had everything. He goes, we were given everything. He goes, school was paid for. The gymnasiums were clean and they were beautiful and everything was amazing. He goes, we had the best teachers. We had the best, you know, and he was just going down the list of everything that was provided for.
Right, but then list all the bad things. At the end of the day, I'd still rather be in America.
Yeah, but he's comparing to times now, and he's saying that the ease of living was better. And I was just confused as to why.
So he's sampling on, this is what we call sampling on the dependent variable. He's taking the outcome in a dependent variable and assuming that that's just the whole story, right? The whole story is that Reagan outspent them during this Star Wars arms race stuff, and their economy couldn't handle it. And that's why the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore, right? So one of the primary keys to building a society is making it resilient, making the individual resilient, so we don't have victim bitches running around everywhere, or that every time some little thing goes wrong, everything fucking starts to collapse. That we can't have that, right? And name me one structure that's stronger at the top than the base that stands for any amount of time. That's fucking stupid, right? Like we would never think that.
Right.
The stronger you are at the base.
Yeah, no one builds an upside down pyramid.
Correct. It's fucking dumb, right? So yeah, maybe they were provided for to some degree. And look, he was probably somebody that was not being targeted by the government. So that felt good, I would imagine. But yeah, you're giving up your autonomy for that. It's not about the stuff. It is about the choice. Like,
yeah, he couldn't leave Russia. He couldn't do shit.
Right. So
at the end of the day, you can go to fucking any vacation you want. You get to drink whatever you want to drink.
In America, right? Like, and I agree with you, freedom, right? And people that are not victims and that.
Well, we have guns is why we have freedom.
Right.
Because Canada, they fucking dipped into people's bank accounts because they donated to some fucking truckers, right? Like if that happened here, some shit would go down.
You think so?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
What happened in Canada? Can you explain? I remember they had the truck fucking blockade.
Yeah, so basically they did similar to what the U.S. government did to January 6 people, but the banks wouldn't cooperate to that degree. But GoFundMe specifically, that company specifically, and then Scotiabank, and there was one other one in Canada. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, they took the money for the truckers.
So if they found that you had donated money to the truckers who were protesting up there, they found your bank account and seized, at least froze, but in a lot of cases seized your bank account. And private companies were playing along with this. Banks, which have a statutory requirement, a literal legal requirement to protect you from the government, right? And GoFundMe specifically, which is why we never use that shit anymore. But yeah, I mean, Chappelle always said it best. Like the second one's there in case the first one doesn't work out, right? That's how it works.
Some people, especially in America, you see, we're talking about everyone has options, choices, and all of this good stuff.
Right.
But we're talking about, for some reason, when we give the society so many options and choices, everyone becomes a victim. So sometimes I feel like people don't deserve options.
It's not an option.
That's the issue.
Too many people, social media, to me, I think, gave too many people a voice. Versus like, some people should be passive. And just let some other people.
But that's the thing. But that's why people were happy.
Because now everyone has an opinion,
because they didn't have options.
We cater to the smallest of the the loudest and the smallest demo of crybabies.
We do now, yeah. But like society is structured in a way to placate the masses, right? And this is nothing new. Like the Roman Colosseum exists for this purpose, right? 1984 SOMA exists for this purpose, right? To keep people placated. So, you know, I think just exercising that liberty at the lowest possible level helps to a large degree, more than you would think. You know what I mean? Like, think about the stuff you need to stay alive. Housing is fucked, right? Food has been fucked since the 1950s with corn syrup in the food pyramid. Like, you don't need to eat grain, dude. Let your cows eat grain and you eat the cow. That's
Do you not eat bread?
Fuck no. I mean, I do if I make it myself. If I know it's not like unbleached and unfucked with, but otherwise, no. I don't want to go on a rant about this, but I'm going to.
Go for it, please.
So
big bread. I hate big bread.
It's fucked. You
the
should.
Bread,
They
bread
fuck,
in this
they fuck
country
with
is
the hot dog
disgusting, bro.
industry.
Bread
You know
in
what
a
they
bag.
do?
You should never eat bread from a bag. You shouldn't eat anything from a bag or a box if you can help it, to be honest, because it's all poison. But animals have teeth and claws, right, to fight. They have legs to run. They got a brain to think, so they can go hide. Plants only have the ability to bury themselves in the ground, right, or to have biodefense mechanisms such as being hard to digest or being poisonous. This is the only way. Everything in nature has a defense mechanism, right? So things that grow above ground, particularly green things that grow above ground that don't grow on really high places or with thorns or something like that. That's why berries are typically okay. Their defense mechanism is to be impossible for you to digest or to be poisonous. Now, most of the ones we eat obviously aren't poisonous. They're impossible to digest. So you eat all this shit and you think you're getting nutrients and you don't get shit, right? And then we have this, everybody's still, not everybody, there's a lot of people still that think low fat is a good thing. That's that is fucking stupid. It's just basic biology, right? So in the same way that salt is a carrier for water into your bloodstream, lipids, fat is a carrier of vitamins and minerals into your bloodstream, right? It's the only way it gets into your bloodstream. So if you don't eat any fat, then you don't get any nutrients, motherfucker. So that's why the South
learning so much.
That's why the South is filled with people who are both obese and malnourished at the same time. For the first time in human history, that's never happened before. We have people who are fat and malnourished at the same time. Right. It's because they're eating bullshit. Now, a cow
fat
has
and
four
malnourished
stomachs.
is crazy combination.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
That's me.
Like, we live in the dumbest.
I'm fat and malnourished.
That's fucking stupid.
We live in the dumbest period in human history. But a cow, ruminant animals, cows, some deer, sheep like that, or lamb rather, have four stomachs. They can eat that shit, process it. It goes into their fat. We eat their fat. We get it. That's how it works, right? I'm not telling you to only eat meat. Eat whatever the fuck you want. I like vegetables too, but they're fucking pointless.
Eastern medicine always says that you need to have fat, especially if like from the cold, when you're in the cold.
At least
good for your immune
at least
system.
at least MCT, right? Like coconut oil and shit like that. If you're taking supplements, vitamins and shit, and you're not taking it with MCT or some other kind of fat, you're not taking shit. You're just pissing it all out. It's dumb. That's why all these studies come out. There's another one recently, but the main one was a German one from 2012. It was like vitamins, over-the-counter vitamins don't do shit. It's like, yeah, because you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? If you take a handful, if you take your little men's daily, whatever the fuck it is, but there's no fat in there, you didn't do anything. Even if there's EFA, like essential fatty acids in there, if there's not specifically some kind of MCT or animal fat.
Like fish oil, if you're doing it with fish oil.
Fish oil doesn't help with that
doesn't
that
do
much.
much, right?
It's not enough. It's just a little capsule, right?
All this is they're just telling me is we're really just a completely, we're just a for-profit society. It's the United Corporations of America, right? That's everything you're describing, the food problems, that's because the corporations lobby the government to rebuild the food pyramid or whatever, all that
but
shit.
It's also because we're fucking stupid and we play the game. The only way to win that game is to not play it, right?
Yeah, but it's hard to not play that game because
you're living on the territory of the game.
Because when you're like, you have a family of 5, and I can't relate, but if you have a family with a bunch of kids and you didn't make hamburgers for people, you are, you know, advertising dictates my kids want chicken nuggets, my kids want hamburgers, my kid want pizza, right? Everything around, I'm battling $1 billion corporation every 30 seconds.
Yeah, but you get the choice.
I have a choice because I have enough finances
No. Everybody gets a choice. And the way that you amplify that, so liberty only exists if it exists for fucking everybody and all the time. That's the only way it exists, like fucking Tinkerbell, right? It is true that we make it easy and cheaper to get shit, to stay in that lane, right? Because of profiteering. There's no question about that. But you, as somebody who is affluent, has the opportunity to change that shit. One, by leading by example, right? Because some people just don't know.
I have been. Have you seen? I've been eating very clean.
For 2 years now, really, off and on, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, for about 2 weeks.
Well, no, I mean, like you've been doing it intermittently for a couple years.
I've been trying to be healthy.
Because you did keto for like 2 years ago.
Is keto good for you? Should I be doing that?
It's good in stints, but if you're not going to do it all the time, then no, not really. Just, but anyways, not everybody, particularly in inner cities and shit like that, or in rural America who don't have access to some of this stuff, although they're better off because there are animals out there for them to shoot, right? So inner cities are certainly much worse just by design, not by design, well, maybe by design, but by circumstance. They may not have the same options as you now, but we have organizations like Hunters for the Hungry that I work with sometimes. And we shoot, when we go hunt, we shoot animals. Maybe under normal circumstances, I might stop at one because that fills, like I shoot axis deer in West Texas and I get 140 pounds of meat off that bitch, right? So that lasts me a little while. But I can go shoot 2, 3, 4, and I donate it to this organization, and they make sure it gets into fucking hungry mouths. People, especially people in food deserts, they don't have access to good food. So you as an affluent person have the ability to do that. More than anything else we can do, I think, providing good quality food to people is probably the most important thing.
I agree.
Because it helps every other aspect.
Well,
95% of your serotonin is in your gut.
Correct.
Right? That's where it gets generated. So you're talking about mental health. And we have these mental health issues now that have never been problems before. I know that 13 Reasons Why bullshit was popular, but teenage girls have always been the most resilient against suicide for all of human history so far as we've tracked it.
You think it's because they've just been so nitpicked and criticized for so, like they've developed a thicker skin?
I think there's a hardware and a software issue, yeah. Teenage girls are now the fastest growing contingent of suicides in America. Right. So the group that was the best at it is now growing into becoming the worst at it, which is unacceptable. We leave people behind like that. So there's a hardware and a software issue. The hardware issue is that heavy metals and plastics, to some degree, traumatic brain injury and stuff like that plays a role, but heavy metals and plastics specifically have fucked our hormones up big time. And then for girls, double down with the stupid pill they take, right? That fucks them up sometimes for life. So that's the hardware issue. I don't know what the number is for women, but the average 21-year-old male in America right now has the same level of testosterone that the 65-year-old had in 2000.
That's crazy talk.
Right? So we're just all just fucking becoming.
But you see what he's trying to say?
It's going back
to food.
I feel that way.
You know Avicii and
have you had your fucking testosterone levels checked before?
No, I probably don't even want to.
You should, because you can. It's easy.
They're like, sir, you have estrogen.
Well, it's easy. It's simple to fix. Like seriously, for $200 a month.
Yeah.
What do I do? What is that? What do I got to just start taking shots?
Go to a men's health clinic. Have them test your levels first. I'll give you a guy. He'll do it all for you. He'll send it all to your house. He'll test your levels. He'll put you on probably testosterone, something like inclomyophin to make sure your body continues to produce natural testosterone. What will it do for me? Me lacking this testosterone? Energy. You'll be able to process cortisol better, which means less fat around your midsection, but also less stress in your life, right? Mm-hmm. Like one of the key markers, one of the things that sets gunfighters apart from the rest of society is that we burn cortisol at like 40, 50% better than you do, right? And it's mostly because of brain chemistry, but some because of like the training we've been through and shit, and being healthy. But you can get there too. It's a very low entry barrier. It's people think this stuff isn't hard to do. It's not, man.
Yeah, low T levels makes you wild pussy, for sure.
I definitely think as just a regular citizen, and that's kind of what I am. Like I don't really participate in America. Like I exist in America and I'm thankful for America, but I don't really contribute to America in that sense. It just seems like such a hard hurdle to get in shape and be healthy. And I understand going to the gym is healthy, but the food part is really hard to figure out.
Especially with the food that we're eating.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
What you live in California still, right? You're probably good there. Niman Ranch is out there, so the meat in grocery stores is pretty good for the most part. Most parts of the country, unless you're in Texas, parts of California, Missouri, your meat is fucked. If you see, especially beef, and the fat looks white, like bright white, that's not real. That's corn. They just fed it corn and grain, right, to fatten it up.
That's not like the fucking Wagyu looking shit.
No,
that they're trying to fake it.
No, Wagyu will be, instead of capped, it'll be marbled inside of the fucking protein, right, inside of the muscle. Fat should have a yellowish tint to it if they're eating grass, the right kind of food, right? So you can see it with your eyes, so it's not that difficult. But then the temptation is to amplify your calorie intake by going into the inner aisles of the grocery store, and that's where the fucking poison is, right? You should treat that like you're a 5-year-old and the ground is lava. Stay the fuck out of that area.
It's hard when you smoke weed.
Yeah, no shit, right? Well, just start, you know, it's again, these are 1,000 little decisions you make every day that change everything. If you don't want to snack on bullshit, don't fucking buy it. When you're high at night, it's super easy. When you're high at night and there's only good stuff in your house, then you got to fucking eat good stuff.
Dude,
that's how it works.
You know what I do? My hack is frozen fruit. I just put
frozen fruit is great.
I just put frozen fruit, tahini, and a little lemon juice, and then I'll just kill my craving with
Another thing is like dates with peanut butter and nuts and stuff like that. That's a good treat. And you freeze those as well. Yeah,
sick. With raspberries.
There's a million different ways. To
see, to me, I just started. You ever heard of this fucking bullshit, the X effect? So I do it. It's basically a way to discipline yourself into build. They say that you will form or break a habit in 49 to 50 days.
10 weeks.
So the X effect is essentially a grid of 7 across for every day of the week.
Sure.
And let's just say 7 down. And you set a goal for yourself. Like I set a goal for myself. I want to work out every day or do 10,000 steps. And then every day you kind of mark that X, and it forces you just to hold yourself responsible to this grid. So I think that's like psychologically, I think that's the only way I can commit to anything.
Building good habits is important. Well, you know that it's true now for you, right? But the more you do the right thing, the easier it becomes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the more you do the wrong thing, the easier it becomes. And there's always that temptation. Like, look, everybody doesn't need to do health-wise. Like if you eat a hamburger sometime or like from McDonald's or some shit, you're not going to fucking die, man.
Right.
But if that's your primary source of calories, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're bugging.
Like you're getting diabetes. There's no question about it, right?
Sure.
Do you think 38% of America is either diabetic or in pre-diabetes right now? 38%. Only 23% of American males between 19 and 25 are even eligible for military service now.
I was just going to ask you, like, is our military fucked right now? Because we all look like me? Or worse?
Skinny fat people, yeah.
Skinny fat.
Yep.
Fat and malnourished.
And you know, when you go to basic training for the Marine Corps and shit, I don't know about the Army, I never really looked, but these days if you go to basic training for the Marine Corps, they give you calcium shots because people's bones are fucked too.
We're also overly consuming shit. Like back in the day, food would get cut off at a certain time. People are eating and not letting their body readjust.
Dude, back in the day, we didn't have Costco. Like now you can go buy a 90-pound bag of Doritos, right? For the same price as a fucking
this is just evolution, right? We've resource scarcity has gone away. It's not true. So when people, a lot of people still play that card with fossil fuels, for example, like, oh, we're going to run out. We will never fucking run out of fossil fuels. You're out of your goddamn mind. And they're like, oh, we're going to ruin the planet. A Mars-sized object 4 billion years ago slammed into the side of the Earth, blew the crust off, formed an accretion disk. That became the moon over time. And here the fuck we are. We have 4 ELEs, like extinction level events in this
like world. George Carlin said, the planet's going to be fine.
The planet will be fine.
Yeah.
We might fuck ourselves over. We're fucked. But who fucking cares, man? Like it's going to be way after you're dead. You know what I mean? But either way, there is no way we could ever use all the fossil fuels on this planet. Right. Not even fucking close. And this renewable energy, I like it. I like the sun's big as fuck. Why not use it, right? But it's not ready for prime time. I mean, you see these dicks in Chicago with their electric cars. They're frozen in a fucking parking lot.
Yeah, somewhere. I'm all behind electric cars if it just has the range to not limit my life.
Yeah, let's.
It's like somebody
through water though.
Yeah, dude,
you saw that video?
Oh yeah, it's a very good design. By the way, just the mechanics of the electric vehicle, it will always be more efficient than any kind of combustion engine because it has a primary engine and then it has little engines on each wheel, right? So the way that a normal combustion engine with a drivetrain works is the pistons pump and then a flywheel spins and that spins a drivetrain through back this way. And then it spins CV joints on each wheel, right? Newton's law of conservation, right? At each point,
there's a loss of energy,
right? So it'll never be more efficient. That's why a Tesla can fucking dust any car on the road. I don't give a fuck what it is.
Right.
Like you put a Tesla up against a new Lambo, Tesla wins.
Yeah, because it just takes off. It's like a roller coaster.
It has absolutely no gear.
0 to 60 in 1.4 or something like that. I mean, it's crazy. But it's just like the design. I love that stuff. I love tech.
It's not ready,
but it's not ready yet. So
it's like
let's
offering
not set arbitrary goals like by 2030 we're going to be completely electric. Like,
that's cool. Annoying. I agree.
And that comes from such a place of affluence too. Like, oh, we're in America, we're rich, or we're in like Switzerland's doing this shit, the UK's doing this shit. Like we're wealthy countries, we can handle this. We're fucking over the place that we're raping for resources right now, Africa.
Correct.
We're fucking them over. Right? Big time, because they can't afford to do that shit. 70% of the world still uses wood, fire for energy. 70% of the world. right? Everybody can hear the sound of it. Talk about this 1%, 99% shit. If you think you're the 99%, you can hear my voice right now, you're a fucking moron. You are in the 1%. If you live on more than $1.75 a day, you're in the 1%.
If you have Spotify, you're in the 1%.
Like, just shut the fuck up. But that's like, all this stuff kind of dovetails together, because one of the things we're talking about, selflessness for sure, and then delayed gratification. I need it now. I have to have it now. I don't need it now. I have to.
But tech doesn't promote that.
Right?
That's the issue. That's
Dude, do you know when my Wi-Fi cuts out on an airplane? I do boiling with rage. Right? I want everything immediately. Amazon Prime.
But you have to be intentional with that, right? That's a matter of discipline. So I hate to go off on a Huberman thing, because he can be annoying sometimes, but I do like a lot of stuff he says.
No, he's
it's a little preachy sometimes, but I think he's a really good guy. A lot of my friends are friends with him, so I'm not talking shit or anything. But intentionality matters. Fucking program your day. And not everybody needs to do it. Like, cold showers will help reset your limbic system, like the part of your brain that controls your amygdala, which is fight or flight, right? So you're going to be in a better headspace, all these other benefits. But make it intentional. So what do you do when you wake up every day? Do you
take a poop?
Fair enough. Yeah, that's not wrong.
I take a poop. I hit a joint because I am more stressed than I've ever been in my life. And so I need to get my brain a quick hug. And then, now I go work out.
That's what he meant by testosterone. If you have that testosterone, it'll burn that cortisol.
My problem is the first time in my life, I've always tried to be an artist. As gay as that sounds, whatever, photography, doing this merch shit, marketing, that's what makes me happy. But running a company, I never really wanted to do. So I wake up every day being like, oh, fuck, a lawyer thing. This person's suing us. And it all falls on me. So my morning, I don't know how to get rid of that.
Right, but how do I get? But the step to that is to program your day
off my chest.
Here, let me tell you something, bud. The weight never gets lighter; you get stronger. That's how it works. And that only happens by doing right and doing it the right way, learning new skills and shit. Maybe smoking weed in the morning is the best thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
I think it's horrible, but I can't need it. I'm addicted. I'm definitely addicted to weed.
And go for a run.
I mean, if you jump in a cold shower for 4 minutes, right, and then go outside and stand in the sunlight for 15 to 30 minutes every morning, that's going to improve your life. Don't drink coffee first thing. Drink electrolytes first. Right. You know, stuff like that. It's just simple biology, you know.
It's true though,
but it's your choice. Like, these little micro choices that you make on a daily basis.
If it works, I want to start doing more better things. I feel like I'm going to be 40 in June, so I definitely feel a midlife crisis, because I tell everyone I start measuring everything now. Everything is like, oh, I'll be dead in this. Oh, I won't have this anymore. So I definitely, maybe this is it, right? This is what we need to do as Americans, is take control of our lives.
Well, of course it is. Right? Like, who knows your life better than you? Would you?
But I lie to myself so much.
Well, that's a problem. Honestly.
Yeah, I know, man.
Don't do that. Maybe
it's hard not to. I'm like, you're hot. They'll fuck you, and then they don't.
Yeah, but women don't fuck dudes because they're hot.
Yeah, that's right. I put this hat on, and they instantly want to fuck.
So, back to the point. You know, it is you personally have a moral imperative to take care of yourself, because you're a good man and you do good things for the community, right? I know you're a fucking shit, but
full blown.
We're all right?
Full blown. That's the only reason we could use that word.
Correct. Yeah, and I enjoy it. But like that doing all the silly shit really softens it for a lot of people. It makes it like when you're talking to your friends, you're not having conversation with your bros and be like, oh, dude, you look great today. How you feeling? Like, no, you're like, you fucking homo. What the fuck are you looking at, dude?
Right.
Why are you looking at me? Also, something like, you know what I mean? We just talk shit, but that's how we get close to each other. Yeah. So you're a good dude that's doing good shit for people. A big part of that is setting an example for everybody, right? To care about shit that actually matters, which you do a really good job of, right? And then also to, lifestyle stuff, be intentional about it and help other people. It's not enough to be good. You got to do good. Right. So you've got a little army. How are you motivating them to go out and do the right thing too? Right.
Damn, because they're terrorizing society.
Well, to some degree, right. But they're terrorizing the shitty parts of society. You are one dude. You can do so much. Right. But if you convince 1% of your audience to do the same kind of shit you're doing, not starting the companies and everything, but just from the helping, be on the lookout for opportunities to help people. Right now, you've got a whole team of dudes out there doing the right thing, and then when everyone does better, everyone does it better. Yep. Right. So, and
that just goes back to what we started with. That's why it's important to take charge of the day. That's why some people are like, oh, I don't want to do the culture hours. I don't want to work out. I don't want to eat healthy. This, that, and the third. But those things that
you pay for,
yeah, but you pay for that.
Down
you end
the road.
up paying for that anyway. So what's the point?
I 100%.
So people can think it's corny. They think it's preachy. It's this, is that, and the third. But there's a reason why people do it. Right. There's a reason why people wake up at 5:30 in the morning and go to sleep at 9. Right. You know what I mean? Because there's efficiency in that.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and people circadian wise are always different, right? Like you might get your peak work hours, like my girlfriend, her peak work hours are 5:30 to 7:30. So she wakes up early, does that. Maybe she'll have a nap later in the day or something, right? But she knows that's when she works the best. So she just has the discipline to go do that shit. Same. Makes sense for her, right? Yeah. Doesn't make sense for everybody. Some people work better in the middle of the goddamn night. And if that's
when the world's asleep, that's me.
If that's what you are, you have to program your life around that shit if you want to be efficient, right? Because when you're efficient at the stuff that's causing you stress, right? Then that stress stops permeating through all the rest of your life. It doesn't come into your relationship anymore. It doesn't come into your family anymore. It doesn't come into your daily interactions anymore. You stop taking it out on people. I mean, I don't like that phrase necessarily because people do struggle and it's important to understand people are struggling, but it's your job to manage yourself. You know what I mean?
It is.
So when you start to do the little things to help manage your stress, and not just manage your stress, but get on the other side of it. Like that's like, you have to articulate to yourself what that stress is. I'm afraid of this, or I want this. It's one of those two things.
Right.
Put that fear behind you, let it chase you, and put that goal in front of you and you chase it, right? Like, so I've been in a bunch of gunfights, a lot of them. I don't give a fuck about dying. That doesn't scare me at all. What scares me is letting my men down or letting my family down. That's what scares me. So I put that shit behind me. And anytime I think of stopping, I'm like, fuck that. I got to run, right? But then there's goals too. I want to have this or that, whatever it happens to be. So I'm chasing those things, right? This is the push-pull, the yin-yang of life. It works this way in every facet of life for every human being that's ever existed.
Dan, can we talk once a week?
Sure.
This was like therapy.
It's very important.
It's like
I don't verbally, you know.
Yeah, you can't talk like that. Val says it all in broken Ebonics to me.
Yeah, but
he's like, yo, my man, let's try this, and I'm like,
yeah, but he's saying the same shit.
I'm saying the same shit. It's just not. I'm not articulating myself.
You just sound like
very well, like you are.
Yeah,
you know?
but you just sound like a redneck surgeon. Like no one wants to hear it from that voice.
I never even thought about that. God, can you imagine a surgeon with a deep Southern accent?
Yeah, I think Jeff Foxworthy does a bit about that. He's like, we're gonna go root around in there for like 20 minutes and see what we can get. You're like, I'd rather die.
I'll take the cancer, bud.
Yeah.
No, thanks. Yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb. But yeah, it's
manage yourself.
This is
is the goal of
but
this.
don't think of it as a hurdle though, because it's not, man. This is a gift.
Yeah,
it is uncommon and a lot of times rare in life that you have control over everything. Right.
Right.
Very rare. You know what I mean? It's rare that you can control it. So you can't ever really control the outcome of things. You can control your attitude and your effort, but typically speaking, if you control those first two, you can get something on the other side. Right. But very rarely in life do you have, I can't, like you said before, I can't stop these massive systems. I can't take down the TSA. I can't, whatever the fuck, right? But, you know, you can make yourself more resilient. You have the opportunity to make yourself better and in turn make other people around you better. You have that belongs to you and you alone. Nobody can make you do the wrong thing. Only you can do that, right?
I'm gonna make enough money to have a private plane and cut out the TSA.
Yeah, well, that's
how I'm gonna have to go about it.
Yeah, but you know, I think that's a gift. That's one of the great gifts of life, and it's one of the great gifts of liberty too. Like the ability to control your own destiny. You're not guaranteed tomorrow, man. You know what I mean? But having it in your hands is a gift. You need to use it. Because if you don't, somebody else will come take that and use it for you on your behalf, and you may or may not like the outcome of that shit. I mean, look around today. Is there a leader out there, a quote unquote leader? I don't think these people are actually leaders. They're a bunch of shitbags. But is there somebody that's in a position of power out there that you're like, oh, I like what that guy has to say. I think he's being responsible with the power he has. I can't name one. Maybe Thomas Massey, maybe.
I was going to say Kevin Hart. I was going to say more entertainers are at least more fun for me than like I would look up to them more. Than like, you know, we got into all this therapy kind of shit, but you know, I was also going to ask you, like, who do you think's going to win?
We can say some fucked up shit too.
Who's going to win the election?
I don't know. Honestly, I mean, Biden can't win in reality, but that doesn't mean anything. He's got like late stage vascular dementia. I don't think he'll last, but maybe 4 or 5 months. Some people adjacent to him have told me 4 or 5 months tops, and he's dead. Right.
I want to see a president die in office. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I think we should make Jimmy Carter president again.
We should just.
Have you seen him lately? Did you see him at his wife's funeral? He looks like
he still has the peanut farm, or he sold.
He looks like he saw The Ring, bro. Like his like.
How old is he?
He looks 90 something.
That's what he should look like, right?
Jimmy Carter, the president,
and that guy's only 10 years older than the president.
Yeah,
like literally, that guy.
Yeah, maybe we should have people in positions of power that have an investment in the future, right? That are going to have to live with the goddamn decisions they make.
Somebody at 45.
That seems.
And they shouldn't be allowed to trade stocks.
No.
Nancy Pelosi is a flawless stockbroker.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just follow her. Yeah. You can
become a billionaire.
This sucks that this exists, but you can get AI software that makes every trade she makes.
I'm gonna have to find that.
I think we're running close to time. I think we got like 5 more.
Dan, thank you. I thought we were going to talk about guns.
We can talk about buttholes too.
But sure.
Yeah.
Is there butthole maintenance, safety I need to be practicing as well?
I've got a bidet, and I think
do you squat when you poop, or you have a squatty?
No, I run full speed, dude.
I like that.
Yeah. I'm afraid, right? My butthole's open. I'm in a position, right, that's not really defensible, so I got to run.
Were you a sniper in the?
No. I was infantry though. I was in the 82nd Airborne in the infantry.
Saying
jump out of planes and shoot people in the face. I think that's our motto, something like that. But
good time.
No, I don't have a squatty potty. You know that company's owned by Mormons, right? Fucking weirdos. I think they're tricking us into fucking our buttholes up. I don't know.
I just squat. I just do an old-fashioned Ukrainian villager squat.
Oh yeah, that's the same way they do it in the Middle East. Yeah, I mean, like if you see a turlet over there, it's just a fucking hole in the ground.
Yeah. I don't have that kind of aim.
I was taught
diarrhea.
I'm worried about it. Yeah, I don't want to do cleanup.
I got good aim. I think I've only hit the seat 4 times.
Oh, because you
4 more than me, buddy.
Yeah, are you serious?
Well, it's not that bad. What, you can't wipe your own shit? You scared? Don't be scared.
Look, gross. Invest in a bidet. It's a luxury.
I actually have one. It's just I never use it.
Takes really good care of your butthole.
First world problems,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Bidets. In Ukraine, I had to use leaves.
You're the most.
Is that where you're from? Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm Ukraine.
Where?
I'm from. I was born in Crimea, and then my grandma is from between Kiev and Odessa. So
thanks for saying Kiev. By the way, I hate that word. Kiev. My Ross always says something like "Kiev down in your chest" or something like that. It's because it sounds like a verb, doesn't it?
Kiev.
Like I'm gonna Kiev.
Yeah, I'm gonna Kiev all over her face.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of it like that.
What's this Russia stuff is dumb, man.
I mean, the whole thing is kind of just Monopoly. It's a little game. It's just like you said, the politicians playing games.
But you know who's really suffering is just ordinary people in both countries,
yes.
Right? And then Africa, because 12% of the world's wheat comes from Ukraine.
Yes.
And now the place that it goes is typically Africa,
there.
Right?
I thought we were done dividing the world.
Why?
Up.
Oh, no. Dude, Russia and China are dominating Africa.
No, I mean, you would think, we're good. This is it.
But America was the reason why
we're done making new globes.
The Star Wars, well, just the arms race, yeah, more or less. And then one of the reasons is we do this. It's one of the problems of, is that a fucking train?
Yeah, it's my cousin Vinny train.
It's one of the problems of our system of government. And look, when I say a problem, it doesn't mean we should throw the whole thing out, right? But changing power every 4 years is problematic sometimes.
Yeah, you know why? Because we got to fucking start all over again every single fucking time.
Bro, yeah, I've had.
I mean, it's silly, right? Sometimes.
And
how long do you think someone should be a president?
I don't think there should be a limit. Would you fire your CEO because he's been there too long?
Right.
Congress.
At some point, doesn't that person can become a dictator or no?
Not if Congress doesn't let him.
But
correct, because everything goes through.
I feel like our checks and balances are going out the window pretty fast.
Yeah, because people in Congress, in the House and Senate, stay for 40 fucking years.
Correct,
right?
and
it's all for profit. Once again,
and not just
everyone's doing everything for money.
But the bureaucrats behind the scenes, like the chiefs of staff and these people like that, who are unelected. Like these people, the ATF and OSHA. OSHA tried to push vaccine mandates, right? Luckily, the Supreme Court knocked that shit down.
Right.
The ATF regularly tries to make new gun laws that will make felons out of legal gun owners, right? Overnight. Luckily, and the Supreme Court's about to rule on that as well, I think in March. And it'll go the same way. But these people that amass incredible amounts of power over decades, right? That's a problem. A much bigger problem than one man who might just be a good manager and project strength, to the world, right? Which I think would be better.
Right, but I feel like he's just going to get bought and paid for like everyone else.
Maybe, but then we'll just fucking get rid of him, right? There's an election every 4 years still. I'm just saying there shouldn't be term limits.
Oh, you're saying we still got to vote for the same.
Right.
We still
His
vote
point
for the
is
same
that
guy.
saying people are in Congress for 45 years. Why are we constantly shifting somebody around?
I think there should be term limits for Congress, House, and Senate, but not for president. I think that doesn't make any sense the way we do it.
Do you agree with Joe Rogan's point about the fact that like if our founding fathers came back, they'd be like, you guys didn't update the Constitution, like still like that. You guys didn't change anything. Like you're still like the Constitution's slowly becoming like a Bible where you're like, we're still talking about shit from 2,000 years ago.
We've updated the Constitution 17 times.
Yeah, I get it.
Technically.
See, I'm an idiot.
But not so much recently. I think the last one was just to regulate pay in 1992 for Congress.
Yeah, that's not.
It's been a while.
You know what I mean?
But yeah,
like,
we have.
Like, we're no like giant changes, really, right? Like no one's like, I don't know. But here's my question: you did say you're like, just because the solution sucks doesn't mean that the problem isn't. We still got to address the problem, right? Like, perfect example, like the most divisive topic in America is school shootings, right? Why are we not trying solutions? Even if people get upset about that.
Texas is, we put an armed person in every school. It's required by law. If you own it, like public or private, if you have a school, there's a fucking dude there with a gun to stop that shit, right? That's one.
Isn't that weird?
No.
Isn't that just weird? Like, I think it's weird if I see a gun.
To protect.
In society, like, that to me seems like becoming more military-esque versus like, oh, I shouldn't see a gun in everyday society.
This is, nature provides, right? Like everything you need. A good rule is to not eat anything that didn't exist 200 years ago. That's a really good rule for your diet. Don't eat or drink anything that didn't exist 200 years ago. But nature always provides whatever we need, right? So I see, and I think it works sociologically as well, I see this massive exflux of military veterans who have nothing to do anymore, right? They're trying to work their way back into society, but they are good men and women, and they're very highly proficient at making good decisions in stressful situations, even when it includes firearms. And then I see our people getting victimized, not just kids, but everybody all over the place. Why are we not leveraging this asset we have to fix that problem? Now, I believe in layers, our defense in depth as well, like layers of defense. There's a lot of other things we can do. I work with a company actually that's a private company that boxes the government out, but we provide intelligence for gun sales, right? That would identify the next Dylan Roof or somebody like that. It's going to go do some stupid shit.
Right, but that becomes Minority Report, right? You're guilty of a crime you haven't committed yet.
Nope, you're not guilty of anything because it's a private seller, right? And libertarianism, one of the most fundamental rights of a human being, aside from your property rights to include your own body, right, is the right of association. Like you get to choose who you work with and who you don't work with. If some dude doesn't want to sell cakes to gay people, I don't give a fuck. Let's call him an asshole and we'll go down the street. Or
I agree.
Or you start another fucking bakery and you bake cakes for gay people, right? And make money. That's capitalism, right? So fuck that guy. He'll eventually go out of business, or he'll only work with homophobic shitbags.
Right.
Fine with me, right?
Right.
But the right of association is important. When you start forcing people to do business with people they don't want to, now we got a fucking problem.
I guess we got to wrap it up.
I learned so much about America.
Yeah.
And it actually makes me sadder.
I know, such because of reality, but that's why he says that's why you got.
I miss the 90s. I miss the 90s. It was fun.
Don't let it get you down though, right? Like,
got to get stronger.
A good ethos is to inhale rage, inhale sadness, and exhale purpose, right? Yeah. See that problem for what it is, and be like, all right, well, how can I fix it? Instead of just like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
Don't be a bitch, right?
There you go.
Bitch.
That's the motto.
All right. Don't be a bitch. Dan, thank you.
Dan, thank you for being here. Pulling up. We got to do this again. Hopefully you can visit us.
I'm going to call you every week. I'm not even kidding.
Well, you got my number.
I need someone to make me into a man.
You should text him once in a while at night.
I do.
Don't be a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, not that.
Don't be a bitch is honestly a great thing. You should text me weekly.
Maybe I'll just start a new show and call it that.
Yeah. Don't be a bitch.
Amazing.
You just talk to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, dude.
I appreciate you for pulling up.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.